All right, let's dive in. We're talking about espionage. You know, the world's second oldest profession. It's a force that has shaped our history in ways that, honestly, we're only just starting to fully grasp. So let's trace this incredible story, from the very first informants hiding in the shadows all the way to the cyber warriors of today.
This quote really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For literally centuries, some of the biggest turning points in history weren't decided by massive armies clashing in the open. Nope. They were decided by spies operating in total secret, gathering that one piece of information that could turn the tide of a war or even bring down an entire empire. It's easy to think of organized spying as this modern thing, spies in trench coats, secret gadgets, but it's not. It's as old as civilization itself. The great ancient empires knew, deep down, that knowledge was the ultimate power, and they built some surprisingly sophisticated networks to get it. I mean, just look at this timeline. The basic blueprint for state-sponsored spying was drawn up thousands of years ago. Way back in the 6th century BCE, the Persian Empire had this network called the King's Eyes and Ears just to keep tabs on its massive kingdom. 100 years later, in China, Sun Tzu was literally writing the book on intelligence. And by the 1st century BCE, Julius Caesar's legendary conquests, a lot of that was thanks to intel gathered by his spies, the speculators. What's really wild is just how incredibly modern Sun Tzu's thinking was. This wasn't just about sneaking around and gathering secrets. He created a whole psychological framework, breaking down spies into different strategic roles. Think about it. Doomed spies. These were agents you intentionally sent to get caught, just to feed your enemy bad information. That's a level of deception that is absolutely still studied today. It treats spying less like theft and more like the art of completely messing with your enemy's perception of reality. Okay, so as we move on from the ancient world, you see espionage really start to evolve. It becomes less about random informants and more of a professional, permanent part of how a country operates, run by dedicated spy masters. And you can see that professionalization happening right here. The Byzantine Empire got really good at cryptography, the art of secret writing. Genghis Khan used his huge network of scouts not just for intel, but to spread terrifying rumors to weaken his enemies' morale. But the real game changer? That was Sir Francis Walsingham in Elizabethan England. He basically built the first modern intelligence agency. He was using advanced code breaking and a whole network of double agents to stop plots against the Queen and even help take down the Spanish Armada. The whole craft takes another huge leap forward during the Age of Revolutions. And one of its greatest pioneers was maybe an unlikely guy, the general of the Continental Army himself, George Washington. He knew he couldn't beat the British with muscle alone. Washington's system was just brilliant, so methodical and modern. He set up the Culper Ring to operate right under the noses of the British in New York, and they were using all the cutting-edge tech of the day like invisible ink and complex codes. But here's the crucial part. The intel they got from agents like James Armistead Lafayette wasn't just nice-to-have information. No way. It was absolutely decisive in the victory at Yorktown. That was the battle that basically won the entire American Revolution. But honestly, everything that happened before was just the opening act. The 20th century and its 2 world wars, that's when espionage just exploded. It became a global, industrial-scale operation with tens of thousands of people and unbelievable new technologies. Now, think about this for a second. A single secret message changed the entire course of World War I. In 1917, Germany sends this thing called the Zimmermann telegram to Mexico. It's basically a proposal for a military alliance against the United States. But the British were listening. And the secret group that caught it was known only by this number, 40. Room 40 was Britain's top secret code-breaking division. So they crack this telegram, they show it to the Americans, and public outrage just explodes. That was the final push that got the U.S. into the war. And as absolutely intense as that was, World War II took the secret war to a completely different level. The stakes were higher, the codes were way tougher, and the deceptions were more mind-bending than anything the world had ever seen. The secret war in World War II was just full of these pivotal moments. You've got Alan Turing's team at Bletchley Park doing the impossible, cracking Germany's supposedly unbreakable Enigma code. This was like having a live microphone inside German military headquarters. And then there's the story of Agent Garbo, one Spanish double agent who so totally fooled the Germans that he convinced their entire high command that the D-Day landings were happening at Calais, not Normandy. These weren't sideshows. This was a war being won in the shadows. So after World War II, the hot war goes cold, but the secret war, oh, it just heats up. This was a brand new kind of fight, a 50-year ideological struggle fought almost entirely in the shadows by two global superpowers. And here are our main players. In one corner, you've got America's CIA, waging a secret war with propaganda and covert ops. And in the other corner, the Soviet KGB. They were absolute masters of infiltration, planting moles like the infamous Cambridge Five at the very highest levels of Western governments.
You know, this is the era where our modern image of the spy really gets cemented. It's a world of secret radio messages, crazy disguises, and dead drops where agents could leave information for each other without ever meeting. And the absolute ground zero for the shadow war was the divided city of Berlin. It was a real-life chessboard for every major intelligence agency on the planet.
So we've gone from ancient messengers all the way to these Cold War agents in trench coats. But that brings us to the really crucial question, right? What does a spy actually look like today? Well, welcome to the new front line. The modern spy probably isn't hiding in a dark alley in Berlin. They're sitting behind a keyboard, and the battlefield is the entire global digital network. The change is just stark. The old-school tools of human agents, intercepted mail, dead drops, they've all been replaced, or at least joined by things like cyber warfare, mass surveillance, and state-sponsored hacking on a scale that was totally unimaginable just a generation ago.
And with this new battlefield, of course, the priorities have completely shifted. After 9/11, counterterrorism was everything. But now, the focus is so much broader. There's this huge emphasis on cyber espionage and even stealing corporate secrets. Nations like the US, China, and Russia see economic and tech dominance as a core part of national security. The fight is now for intellectual property, just as much as it is for state secrets. I think for most of us, this whole new reality really crashed into the public consciousness with the Edward Snowden revelations. He was the one who pulled back the curtain and showed the world the unbelievable scale of these global surveillance programs, just how powerful these new digital tools had really become.
And this really sums up the whole journey, doesn't it? The fundamental goal of espionage, getting a secret advantage over your rivals, that hasn't changed in thousands of years. But the methods? Well, they've gone from daggers in the dark to massive amounts of data in the cloud. And that leaves us all with one final and kind of unsettling thought. In this new world of total information, of constant connectivity, where we all leave these huge digital footprints, who is the spy and who is being spied on? That line has never been blurrier. Thanks for joining me.